Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Big Kid with Will Bryant, the show that tries to make you feel like a kid again. I'm your host. I'm Will Bryant. And this is it, guys. Episode 1 is here. I want to thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for giving me a chance. This episode is going to be a little bit more of a free form. This is the episode. See, I'm trying to come at you guys twice a week here. Hopefully, I'm not going to overwork myself by doing that. But let's knock on wood that we can make this happen. And the idea is twice a week. One of those times will be what I do today. And it's a little bit more just me talking about anything that kind of piques my interest, anything that I might find interesting that, would make the inner child in me smile a little bit. There's a couple of things on the docket today that we'll get into soon. And then I'm also trying to come at you guys with another type of episode every week, and that's the one where I break down a cartoon or animated series, whatever you want to call it, whether it be from our childhood or present day. And there are a lot of podcasts out there that focus on, a specific series. They do really great jobs going in depth episode by episode. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to get through the series a little bit quicker. So each podcast episode of mine will usually encompass about an entire season of the animated series. And to kick that one off, next time you guys hear from me, I will be covering season 1 of X-Men the Animated Series, the hit cartoon from, I know, my childhood and a lot of yours, I'm assuming, that used to be on Fox Kids. So season 1's coming at you real soon. That's why I've got my little Gambit and Rogue and Wolverine chilling right behind me. But today's a little bit more... like I said, free form. The topic isn't, so concrete. Excuse me as I take a sip of coffee here. I suppose coffee isn't the most big kid kind of beverage to drink. If it was later, I'd probably drink some alcohol, but it's like noon right now. Which, didn't used to stop me before, but I want to stay a little clear for you guys, just a little bit, at least for this first episode. Maybe the next one I'll be drunk. Who knows? Because nothing makes you act like a big kid more than alcohol. Am I right? I'm actually feeling pretty lucky that the timing kind of worked out the way that it did. I have, for those that are new, I had been podcasting for the better part of the last year, but the topic was my own personal fantasy football league that I run. So it was pretty much recorded and garnered for my 11 league mates, or 11 of my friends. So now I'm trying to kind of broaden those horizons a little bit, if you will. Try to almost rebrand the podcast. Before I didn't really have a name for it even. It was just the name of my fantasy football league. So now we are officially Big Kid with Will Bryant. I'm your host, I'm Will Bryant. Today is, the season ended back. We actually went a week longer than we were supposed to, but the season ended just a couple of weeks ago. I took a little while trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the podcast. I came up with a logo and a name, and I gave myself this week as the launch point for it. And kind of in a lucky turn of events, it turned out to be a pretty eventful week. In the world that I love, or the worlds that I love. So the it's funny. I had some ideas for my first episode, and then suddenly material just kind of presented itself. I mean, for any fans of the comic culture of whether it be Marvel or DC, you know, I think nowadays there are a lot less people that, you know, hate a specific company, whether it be Marvel or DC or anything else. At least in my perspective, we may agree that one company may be fumbling the ball a little bit more than the other, obviously, but I think for the most part, I think we're just kind of happy we're getting this content, these films and these shows out. But just recently, James Gunn came out with an official announcement. He finally came out with an official announcement about the direction of the DCU. Actually, that's funny. That's kind of like the first change he made, because up until pretty much I'm recording this on the 2nd of February. He came out on I want to say the 31st of January. And made this announcement, and pretty much up until then, the cinematic universe of DC Comics was known as the DCEU, DC Extended Universe, which, you know, always kind of annoyed me. MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, 3 letters, nice and simple. DCU was right there for you guys. Just DC Universe. Why extend it to DCEU? James Gunn came in. Remember when the World Wildlife Foundation sued the World Wrestling Federation and actually won? And the WWF had to then officially change their initials or name to the WWE. The next day on, I believe, Monday Night Raw, the very first promo that aired was "Get the F out," meaning no more WWF, WWE. And it looks like James Gunn's first decision as the co-CEO of DC Studios was to get the E out. And he said, let's just go by DCU. And I'm not gonna lie, he's 1 for 1 with DC decisions so far. I'm good with that one. I don't know about you guys. He actually put out a about 5 or 6 minute video on Instagram. And this wasn't just him holding the camera and doing like FaceTime. This was a produced, it sounded somewhat scripted. It looked somewhat professionally edited. And it felt choreographed in the sense that DC Studios, their Instagram account had pictures and posts ready to go for every single project that James Gunn mentioned within the hour, you know? So I say that all to bring up the point that I'm taking what he's saying here pretty seriously. And he started it all off by kind of going out of his way and saying that he wants to make sure that all aspects of DC are connected now. And he brought up film, television, gaming, and animation, which immediately, off the bat, piqued my interest. See, I'm not much of a gamer. I do have a PS5, and I have kind of played video games my whole life growing up, but I've never really been any good at them. And at this day and age, I don't play. You know, I might play, you know, an hour a week, if that. You know, I wish I played more. I'm not gonna lie. I know there's a lot of you guys. If you're a gamer, you're probably playing hours a week, right? I don't. And hopefully, I kind of want to get into it more. But there are some games out there that I have in the past played, and been really almost obsessed with. And the Batman series by Rockstar Games was definitely one of them. Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and then Arkham Knight, I believe. And I thought those were like really well written and really well voice acted too. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it had Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill in the Batman and Joker roles. And I mean, how can you go wrong with that? Then, Batman had a Batman Origins game, and then recently the Gotham Knights game, which was actually done by their WB Montreal line, I believe. Yeah. WB Games Montreal, or Warner Brothers Montreal. And they did the Arkham Origins game and Gotham Knight games, and neither were very critically acclaimed, unfortunately. I never played either, which sucks because I was really looking forward to Gotham Knights because I'm a big Nightwing and Red Hood fan. But it just, the more I saw of the game, the less I was excited about it. And when it dropped, I ended up not buying it. If James Gunn is going to take a more vested interest in DC gaming, like he apparently is saying he will, my interest in the DC video games may suddenly be at an all-time high. If he sees what the Batman Rockstar series did and is capable of, not just in terms of gameplay, but in writing and in voice acting, if he sees that and uses that as his inspiration for the future of DC gaming, I'm in. There's a Suicide Squad game coming out real soon that is by Rockstar Games, and I'm very excited for that because of their history with the last 3 Arkham games that I mentioned before. So hopefully DC Games can stay consistent, can get back on track with that one, and James Gunn can kind of take it from there. Now, this is all before James Gunn even started talking about anything specific. I was already intrigued by that gaming line. He then comes out and starts talking about Elseworlds. And for you guys that aren't too familiar with what the Elseworld moniker means, it's a name that DC uses to allow themselves to tell stories outside of their canon, essentially, to explore ideas a little bit outside of what is currently happening or considered canon or normal for the DC universe. I believe one of these like Elseworld stories is the Superman Red Sun series that was out in comics, and that they also made into an animated cartoon not that long ago, where it imagines what would have happened to the world if Kal-El, if Superman, had crash landed in the Soviet Union. I believe, was it the Soviet Union? I don't know if it was Ukraine, or I don't think it was Russia per se, specifically, but if he crash landed in that area, let's say, in a communist area, as opposed to crash landing in Smallville, Kansas. And it's one of my favorite comic series, or at least comic stories of more recent times. And that is, I believe, an Elseworld. I could be dead wrong, who knows. But it's a story that takes place outside of anything that really affects anything else going on in DC. And James Gunn is basically confirming a rumor that was already out there, that they're going to bring the Elseworld idea into real life and not just comics. And James Gunn has already gone out of his way in this video to label a few things as Elseworld. The Batman series with Robert Pattinson is going to officially be an Elseworld series. Which means that, which we'll get into in just a little bit, there will be another Batman movie / character / actor that will portray Batman as within the actual universe that he wants to connect. But The Batman with Robert Pattinson is a movie that has happened and will have a sequel, but is outside of the DC movie canon right now. He's also said that the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix and its upcoming sequel with Lady Gaga entitled Joker Folie à Deux, which, by the way, is a musical, believe it or not, that is also under the Elseworld banner. Why that movie is a musical, I have no idea. And when that movie, when we learn more about it, trust me, I will talk about it. I want to try to keep this podcast kind of positive. It might be tough around that episode. I'm just putting that out there. It might be tough. So I'm a fan of the first movie. I'm a fan of Joaquin, and I'm a huge fan of Lady Gaga. Why they would have to make that sequel a musical, I don't know. I'll save it for when the time comes. But geez. Anyway, that's also an Elseworld movie. And also cartoons or animated series will also be labeled as Elseworld. And James Gunn mentioned Teen Titans Go, which, by the way, is definitely a series I want to cover in the portion of my podcast where I will be breaking down cartoons. That's definitely on the docket. That show's been going on for a while. It's still on now. But anyways, Teen Titans Go. The comedic take on the Teen Titans will be labeled as Elseworld, which makes me think that will probably also happen to the Harley Quinn series on HBO Max, because that seems to be doing very well. Another series I'm going to cover. It seems to be doing pretty well, and I think it's pretty popular amongst fans. So I was curious if it was going to connect in any way, and it could go under the Elseworld banner as well. So it's something that we still don't know for sure. The next thing that James Gunn did was he talked about those 4 movies that are still about to come out that DC Studios has already done. It's the first of those 4 is Shazam! Fury of the Gods, which I believe is dropping March 17th. I think it's St. Patrick's Day, yeah. And he said that Shazam, the first movie, was kind of off on its own, and that the character had been as well, so that it kind of connects well already with the DC revamp. He wasn't very clear about what he was talking about or what he meant. He didn't go out and blatantly say, "Don't worry, Shazam is," or this Shazam character is connected, or Zachary Levi is still around. Zachary Levi himself has gone out of his way to say that he hasn't been, fired or released from his role. But that could all change. If I'm the head of DC Studios and I have a movie that's coming out in a month that I had nothing to do with, but it's still going to affect my company's bottom dollar, basically. The last thing I'm going to do 6 weeks before that movie premieres is say, "Hey, you see that guy that's starring in that movie? He's gone. He's out of here." It's the last thing he's going to do in DC. He's fired. He wouldn't do that. He would say, "Hey, you know what? This movie, the last one wasn't really that connected with the universe, so, this one will be all right." Then the moment that the movie drops, and it's going to be relegated to HBO Max, he'll be like, "No, Zachary Levi totally fired. We're recasting Shazam too. I mean, Shazam as well." I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly what happened. Love Zachary Levi. Great Shazam. But I mean, if Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, and Jason Momoa all got the axe, I find it a little hard to believe that Zachary Levi is the one that survives. As much as I love you, buddy, I don't see it happening. I think it's all just strategic until the movie has come and gone. Bro, they're not even going to keep The Rock. The Rock. I don't see a world where The Rock and Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck and Jason Momoa are all kicked to the curb, but they look at Zachary Levi and say, well, that's the one that stays. As much as I love the guy. It breaks my heart to say it, but I've got to speak the truth here, you know? Hey, part of being a kid is having no filter. Big kid over here, no filter. Actually, that's not true. I will definitely have a filter, because if not, I will be canceled so fast. I gotta have a filter. But anyways, Zachary Levi comes out March 17th. James Gunn plays nice, says it can connect. I don't know that, whatever the hell that means. Sounds like you're about to get fired, Zachary Levi. Speaking of fired, the next movie after that, The Flash, starring someone I can't believe still has a job technically, Ezra Miller, who, there have been reports of Ezra Miller having inappropriate relations with underage people or underage kids. There have been really odd and disturbing reports of parents literally saying that Ezra Miller has taken their child on some type of trip without their consent, essentially kidnapping a literal kid. Ezra Miller has attacked fans. I mean physically, publicly. He's had run-ins with the media. And DC Studios is like, The Flash hitting theaters this summer. What? According to James Gunn, The Flash, starring Ezra Miller, you might as well fucking have Amber Heard from Aquaman make a guest appearance on The Flash while you're at it. Just put up a cancel storm in this movie. Have a cameo by Bill Cosby. Have Harvey Weinstein play, a dead body on the floor. Let's just get all the canceled people in this movie. Because Ezra Miller, how he still has a job. Talk about fired. Talk about, there's a story. Because I'm a pro wrestling fan, if you haven't noticed. There's a story about the Ultimate Warrior being in the main event of, I believe, a SummerSlam. And I think it was a tag team match. Might have been Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan versus, I'm going to say, Big Boss Man and someone else. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not that guy that has the encyclopedia in my head in terms of wrestling knowledge. I am a fan, though. Anyway, the Ultimate Warrior refused to go out there if McMahon didn't, pay him more. He basically used the main event as a negotiating tactic. And McMahon had to deliver the main event to the people. So he agreed. And he paid him. But the moment that Ultimate Warrior walked out through the curtains to that ring to have that main event, McMahon had decided that he was gonna fire him. He paid him for that main event, but the moment that he walked through that curtain, that McMahon has said in a documentary, he's like, the moment that he walked through that curtain, I could not wait to fire him. I couldn't wait to fire him. That's what he said. And he did. He fired him. He fired his ass that day. Goodbye. Why am I bringing this up? Because what I say about Zachary Levi. James Gunn is saying nice things about the movie because the movie has to do well. He still has to sell that movie. And I think that the moment the movie's done, so is Zachary. Now, I said I think. Here, in this instance, I know. I think the entire world knows what's happening here. Because currently, Ezra Miller still has a job. The Flash is supposed to reset the entire universe. It's what James Gunn said in the video, that Instagram video. Will reset the entire universe. It's going to be their jumping off point or their flashpoint, which, by the way, is a DC storyline used to basically reset the universe. And by reset the universe, James Gunn totally means fire Ezra Miller. So like the Ultimate Warrior, the moment that Ezra Miller steps through those curtains, James Gunn is going to walk up right to that canceled SOB and he's going to say, Ezra Miller, you're fired. No chance, Gunn. No chance now to be in any more DC movies for the rest of your life. You weird, kidnapping piece of crap. You're a disgrace to Barry Allen. You're a disgrace to The Flash. You're a disgrace to DC. Get out of here. That Flash character is going to be recast so fast. Then, sorry, I got a little bit worked up there about The Flash. Because it was supposed to be so good, man. I was excited, man. It was a movie that was going to bring back Michael Keaton as some form of Batman. It was going to, it had the possibility to set up so many nice things, and instead it's being used as the big-ass eraser to wipe the slate clean. Which, kind of has to be done, but man, Ezra Miller sure made it necessary, didn't he? He had people like Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, and The Rock working hard to try to keep this team together. And Ezra Miller walked into the room holding a bunch of grenades like they were newborn babies. And the rest of the team looked at him and said, "What the hell are you?" Blows everything up. While kidnapping a minor along the way. What the hell? That brings me to Blue Beetle. The most random movie. I don't know why. Look, I love Teen Titans. And I don't understand why there's a Blue Beetle movie coming out. Like, who asked for that? Who out there was like, what movie should be next? I know that, why I don't know. Blue Beetle, the Jamie Reyes or Jaime Reyes, or however you pronounce it, version. Okay. It's not even a Teen Titans movie. I mean, they made a Justice League and two Suicide Squad movies. Squad movies? Yeah. No, they made a Justice League movie, two Suicide Squad movies, and they haven't done a Teen Titans movie yet, but they're going to do a Blue Beetle movie. Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm not that excited about it, but just because it's DC, I'll get into it. And it's supposed to be the first movie after that Flash reset, but James didn't go out of his way to say this will be a Blue Beetle that connects into my plan. It was again it just sounded like he was just trying to be nice about movies he had nothing to do with. So Blue Beetle is going to come out. And then after that, Aquaman 2. The final movie that he had nothing to do with. Coming out in Christmas, I believe. Christmas of this year. Blue Beetle, I think, is another summer movie, and then Jason Momoa ends the DC world, mercifully drives his trident through the heart of DC, and ends the failure of that chapter or era. And James Gunn says he has an 8 to 10 year plan. And he's calling this Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. He wanted us to know this is only part of Chapter 1, not the entire Chapter 1. So the way that Marvel has phases, DC will have chapters. That's cool. I'm fine. Whatever. Phase 1, Chapter 1, that's cool, dude. Now, he started listing off a bunch of things coming out. And I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely a little surprised. Maybe I shouldn't have been. James Gunn likes to be a little bit out there, a little bit left of normal. So in a way, not that surprised. But I'm here for it. I'm in this honeymoon stage where I trust you, James Gunn. I trust you. At least way more than the direction I had been taken in before. Much like something I actually will talk about in just a little bit. Much like I am a WWE fan that had very little faith in the creative direction of Vince McMahon. I am a DC fan that had very little faith in the creative direction of whoever was running it at the time. Now Triple H is in charge of the WWE. I hope he stays in charge because Vince is strong-arming his way back in. And I have a little bit more faith in where things are going. Similarly, James Gunn is now in charge of DC. And I have a lot more faith in where things are going. Now, hey, faith can always be broken. But it's here first. It's here first. Don't break it, James. He throws out the first announcement. Creature Commando. A TV animated series that will consist of 7 episodes written by him, James Gunn himself. I have no idea what Creature Commando is. I never heard of it. Like I said, DC Studios had Instagram posts ready to go. And they described Creature Commando as Amanda Waller creating a Black Ops team out of monstrous prisoners. James Gunn said that in the DCU, characters will be portrayed in both animation and live action, and usually by the same actor. I thought that was pretty significant news. And also pretty cool. Marvel kind of played around with that a little bit. In the What If series, they had an episode where the whole premise was, what if Peggy Carter got the super soldier syndrome instead of Steve Rogers? And she became Captain Carter and, had like a British shield instead of the American shield and all that. And it actually came to fruition in that scene in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, where Doctor Strange encountered I forgot what they called themselves. Was it the Illuminati? Remind me out there. But yeah, that great scene where we saw Professor X, played by that guy, Patrick Stewart, got it. Where John Krasinski played Mr. Fantastic, and yeah, they had the Peggy Carter character, so it was the first time we saw like an animated character that only existed in animation in the MCU be portrayed in real life, and that was also What If uses the right or the actual voice actors to be the voice of characters in their What If series. So it was also the same thing. DC is going to do something similar now where their animated series or their animated characters will make appearances in real life, and it'll be familiar voices because he wants them to be voiced and played by the same person. I think that's really cool. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really into that. As someone that obviously is into animation very much, the idea of watching an animated show and having it matter for like the next movie or live action series, it really legitimizes what you're watching. I think we're in this era where the stigma of cartoons or animated shows being for kids is as as insignificant as it's ever been. More than ever is animation is being made for adults, and advertised for adults, and the punchlines and the style of animation and the language and the violence is spearheaded for adults. So legitimizing their storylines, so much so to the point where it will matter in the next billion-dollar film franchise is going a long way to I think making animated shows really matter. And the fact that James Gunn wants all of DCs to matter like that, I'm all for it. All for it. Let's go. It immediately makes me into something like Creature Commando, which I've never heard about. Dude. But the idea that the characters on this show can appear in other projects down the line, and it might be by the same actors portraying the voices here, so I'll recognize voices as well. It excites me, dude. So like I said, this is the premise of the show is Amanda Waller creating a black ops team out of monstrous prisoners. So I told you I had no idea what this was. I did a little bit of research. I didn't do too much of a deep dive here, but let's talk about what Creature Commando actually is. Originally, it was a team assembled in World War II, and it consisted of a human leader with a bunch of people that had like some drastic measures taken to save their lives because they were like injured in combat or something. And these drastic measures had side effects that turned them into like they kind of resembled monsters. So one was like very similar to a werewolf. The other one was basically Frankenstein. Another one was a vampire. One looked like Medusa, and the other one was what they call a gorgon or a gorgon, whatever. The conditions were caused by methods that were used to keep them alive, essentially. So it was, when they say that they created a Black Ops team out of like monstrous people, they weren't really kidding. There's apparently a modern version of this team with a guy named Hunter, who is their leader, their human leader. He's like 74 years old or something. And there is an older guy in the picture that they showed to promo Creature Commando on Tuesday. So, it could be that they're going with this modern team. There's a mummy-like communication specialist named Aten. There's a humanoid amphibian resembling Gillman, who they call the Bogman. There's a cyborg named Gunner Mackey, who is actually an actual soldier that died in World War II. Dr. Mira Rhodes, whose body was mutated even further into a Gorgon-like form since her first appearance, is Dr. Medusa. There's a guy named Patchwork, who is Elliot Lucky Taylor, and I believe that's the guy that where they kind of he was so dismembered that they put him back together, but he looked like Frankenstein. Velcoro is a man named Vincent Velcoro, who, like Mira, has mutated even further due to his treatments and now has red skin with a white ponytail. I don't know what the hell that's about. There's a guy named Wolfpack, who you can imagine he's the werewolf type of guy. And these are all characters in this, Creature Commando team that is apparently going to be the focus of the very first product or project in Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. Waller will also have her own live-action show entitled Waller, played by Viola Davis. I love Viola Davis, and I wonder if that means that she will also, I'm almost positive she'll voice Waller in that Creature Commando show. If indeed it is Waller that puts them together. Here we're probably going to have her putting together perhaps the Suicide Squad. It says Viola Davis will team up with members of Team Peacemaker. It's going to be written by Crystal Henry of Watchmen and Jeremy Carver, who did Supernatural. I'm not surprised that they're keeping Peacemaker around because James Gunn wrote that entire thing, and it makes sense that he would want to keep the one of the few things he had his fingerprints all over in Chapter 1. I'm glad because Peacemaker was one of the greatest things that DC has ever done. I thoroughly enjoyed that series. John Cena was incredible in it. Everyone was incredible in it. I loved the story and the acting, and it was something I did not expect to enjoy that much. I don't know if there's going to be a Peacemaker 2. I haven't really heard much about it, but if this is their way of doing a Peacemaker 2 instead, just turning it into like a Waller series, I really hope that means that John Cena is going to be in it, and it's not just the other team members, but we'll wait and see on that one. Like I said, I have faith in all things James Gunn right now. So I'm really crossing my fingers. Then, now we get into like the juicy announcements. He's finally getting into the film. And the first one, he's starting with the big guy himself. Superman Legacy will hit theaters July 11th, 2025. It is being written by the man himself, James Gunn, and it will focus on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. They're going to cast a younger Superman in this role because they want him to be around for the long haul. You know, Gunn already said it's going to be about a 8 to 10 year journey at least for just Chapter 1 here. So, you know, I get it. You don't want to cast someone that by the time you do like a Justice League movie, he's, bald or something or wrinkled, it's Superman, so go young with that. I get it. I'm excited about Superman Legacy. James Gunn just getting his fingerprints all over a Superman movie. I mean, count me in, man. Count me in. And I think it's the right way to start off DC. I think it's the right way to start it off with a movie. Look, we're about to talk about another movie that's coming out that I was very surprised. But at least it's not the way he's kicking it off. Superman, if it's not Superman, it's got to be Batman. But one of those two should be your kickoff to the new DC films. And he's doing it right. Superman Legacy hitting theaters in July of 2025. Then we have another live-action television show he's calling Lanterns. And he went out of his way to call the Green Lanterns Intergalactic Cops. And we're going to follow Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart as they uncover quote-unquote dark mysteries. And he also said, well, see other lanterns in there. I'm sure we're going to see, Kilowog in there. We'll see what... I wonder if we'll see... Sinestro is the big baddie for the Green Lanterns, but he at one point was a Green Lantern as well, if I'm not mistaken, and then turned evil and became that yellow version that we all know and hate. So maybe they'll show that too, the I guess villain origin of Sinestro. I like that they instead of having to choose between Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart to be their first Green Lantern, they're saying, why choose? We'll give you both. Hell, instead of giving you both, we'll give you a bunch of them. And I love that. I heard rumors that originally Lanterns was going to be, was not going to focus on one or two Green Lanterns, but that every episode was going to be about a different Green Lantern. So one would have been about Hal Jordan, the next one perhaps Jon Stewart, the next one Kilowog, the next one... I don't know, maybe Sinestro, the next one, and so on and so forth. I am much more excited and happy to hear this version of the show. To me, Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart are the Green Lanterns, and I would love to learn more about them as opposed to just have them for one episode. So the fact that they're going to be the two leads of this, I'm in too, dude. James Gunn used True Detective as a way of describing the show. Now, I thought True Detective season 1 was a work of art, a masterpiece. Admittedly, I haven't seen anything since. I heard Mahershala Ali really knocked it out of the park. Maybe I should give that one a try. But if he's using True Detective as his, I guess, blueprint for a show about the Green Lanterns, woo! I love how kind of out there he's thinking, and that not everything is just gonna be like a standard superhero project. He has angles with it, which we'll get into also with some future movies. But this one, a detective series, I'm into it, dude. I'm into it, and I can't wait to see the Green Lantern's done justice. I think the Ryan Reynolds version really did nothing positive for the character, and it's taken a while for people to kind of be ready to give him another chance, and it's time. It's time. That brings us to the next film in Chapter 1, and this one surprised the crap out of me, The Authority. If you're confused, don't worry, because so was I. DC's Wildstorm characters will join the DCU as members of the Authority take matters into their own hands to do what they believe is right. Wildstorm was originally an independent company established by Jim Lee. It was called Aegis Entertainment. I didn't know. I had no idea about that, so I had to do a little bit of research about this. It became a publishing imprint of DC from 1999 to 2010. The name Wildstorm was derived from a combination of the Jim Lee comic series Wildcats, Wildcats, and Stormwatch. The Authority is a comic series under Wildstorm. In 1999, Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch created The Authority, a team of superheroes who got the job done by any means necessary. The current members today of The Authority are Christine Trelane, Deathblow, Engineer, Flint, Freefall, The High, Jack Hawksmoor, Rainmaker, Swift, and the only name that I recognize and I am actually excited about, Grifter. Former members include Apollo, there's two doctors. One was Jaron Thorndike, the other one was Habib Ben Hassan. Then there was a Jenny Quantum and a Jenny Sparks, a Midnighter, and Rose Tattoo. I have only heard about Grifter. And I did hear rumors that there was going to be a Grifter project, which, was confusing to me, as confusing as a Blue Beetle project, But I had recently kind of gotten into a Grifter a little bit in the Infinite Frontier comic series, which is a DC, that's kind of DC's latest reset in the comic world. It happened about a year or two ago. The Infinite Frontier is their new way of I guess, starting anew. And the Grifter has had, a kind of cool storyline in there that I had kept up for a little bit. Grifter looks cool. He has a good, I like his look. His attitude's pretty cool. I had no idea they were going to come out with a movie. I'm hoping that Grifter's in this Authority movie, because if not, then I don't know anybody in. This is one where I'm really just going to have to throw my hands up in the air and trust James Gunn, because I don't know anything about this. But if he thinks it's, important enough to start or to have in Chapter 1, let's go for it. Like I said, Gunn's a little bit left of normal. He's a little bit out there, so that's one of them. That one was probably the biggest curveball that I saw thrown my direction. Not just because of who he chose to make a project about, but that it's a full-on movie. It's a film. It's not a television series. It's not an animated series. It's a movie. And it's like the second one. It's Superman and then The Authority. What? I did not see that coming. Then he talked about a show called Paradise Lost. It's going to be a live-action television show, and it's going to be set in Themyscira, which is the home of the Amazons and the birthplace of Wonder Woman. The drama will focus on the genesis and political intrigue of an island of all women. Gunn went out of his way to compare this show to Game of Thrones, like a Game of Thrones meets the world of the Amazons of Themyscira, And again, he compared Lanterns to True Detective. He's comparing Paradise Lost to Game of Thrones. He's using very successful, critically acclaimed and interesting angles to these shows. You know, he's not, everything isn't just going to be another superhero flick. It's he has these ideas of almost subgenres for every superhero project that he has. He has a superhero detective show. Now he has a superhero political show, basically, essentially. And then, you know, we'll see that he's later on he talks about horror. I enjoy that James Gunn seems to have a very broad idea of what he can do running a superhero franchise. So I'm very excited about Paradise Lost. If for no other reason that this has to be the introduction of Wonder Woman, right? Like, I'm assuming eventually you got to get to Wonder Woman. You know, I think if you're starting chapter 1 of DC, there's 3 people that have to be a part of it. And you would hope a major, if not the most major part of it. And that's Superman, that's Wonder Woman, and that's this next person, Batman. That's the Holy Trinity in DC. And one could argue that those 3 may be the 3 biggest superheroes in the world. Marvel may have a lot on DC, but you can argue that Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are all 1, 2, and 3, and then you can list every Marvel hero ever after that. Then you can list Spider-Man. Then you can list Wolverine. Then you can list the Hulk and Thor and Iron Man. There's an argument to be made there. That's the Holy Trinity. And I think James Gunn realizes that, because The Brave and the Bold will be a film about Batman and Robin, and there you have the Holy Trinity represented in chapter 1. Now, something that's never been done in film, in live action film, this Robin will be Damian Wayne, which is like the 4th version of Robin. Let's see, there was Dick Grayson, who became Nightwing. There was Jason Todd, who became Red Hood. There was Tim Drake, who became Red Robin. And then I believe there was eventually Damian Wayne, who is Bruce and Talia al Ghul's son. And Damian Wayne is raised by Talia al Ghul and the League of Assassins, or League of Shadows. I forgot what it's called now. And was raised by basically her and Ra's al Ghul, or Raish al Ghul, however you want to pronounce it. So he has this real killer, no mercy mentality, and eventually Talia al Ghul brings Damian to Bruce, to Gotham, to be raised by him, and the dichotomy of Bruce never believing in killing, and Damian Wayne being all about it, really plays nicely or interestingly, at least, between a Batman and Robin, relationship. And I'm a big fan. I mean, hey, look right here. This is my Damian Wayne. Yep, I'm showing my Damian Wayne figure on my video over here. It's a little bit blurry, but I don't know why. Anyways, big fan of Damian Wayne. Actually, here's Batman too. Let's just put them together. Bang. I got Batman and Damian Wayne right here joining me on the podcast, guys. Big fan of both of these guys. But big fan of the Damian Wayne character specifically, because as far as Robins go, I love Nightwing and I love Red Hood. Don't give a damn about either one of them as Robin. And Tim Drake just never really did it for me in general. I don't care much about him or Red Robin. But Damian Wayne, yep, love him. Love him. He's such a dick sometimes. He's such a jerk. And his process of learning how to not be such a douche sometimes is great. And we're going to probably see that play out in The Brave and the Bold. It's going to be based on the Grant Morrison comic, apparently. And they didn't give a release date for that, but that is the 3rd feature film in Chapter 1 of the DCU. Then, talk about curveballs. If I swung and missed at that, the Authority pitch, because it was a hell of a curveball, then this one was another strike for me. I swung and missed at this one. A Booster Gold live-action television show. Booster Gold uses basic technology from the future to pretend to be a superhero in present day. That premise for a hero is actually pretty funny. That, like, think about it today. Like, imagine if you went back in time to, like, I don't know, the 1400s with, like, the ability to make fire and light and I guess a gun, and how you could just pretend to be a hero simply because you have basic things that are found in present day today. That's what Booster Gold is about. It sounds like it's going to be some type of, like, maybe comedy with heart type of thing. I'll give it a chance. I think it's smart that it's not going to be a movie, and it is a television series. I'm very curious why James Gunn is choosing Booster Gold, but hey, he's doing it. Booster Gold is known for having a best friend in Blue Beetle, but it's not the Blue Beetle that's coming out in theaters this summer. It's not the Jamie Reyes one. It's there's 3 versions of Blue Beetle, I believe. Dan Garrett, Ted Kord, and Jamie Reyes. It's the Ted Kord one, the middle guy, that is like best friends with Booster Gold. So I wonder if there'll be any connection to that. Maybe in the Blue Beetle movie, they will mention how there has been a Blue Beetle in the past, and that might be an introduction to the Ted Kord character, who then may make an appearance once again down the line in the Booster Gold series. Who knows? We'll see. That one is one I don't know much about Booster Gold. I saw him in like an episode of Justice League Unlimited, another cartoon we'll cover. He was kind of funny there. So, I'll give it a chance, but I don't know much about it. Then the next film, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. This is described as a science fiction adventure based on Tom King and Bilquis Evry's amazing award-winning recent Infinite Frontier run, and present Supergirl that viewers are not used to seeing. So again, they're calling Supergirl a sci-fi movie, a science fiction adventure. So like I said, we have a detective show, we have a political show, now we have a sci-fi, detective show, a political show, and now we have a movie that's being advertised more as sci-fi. That he's taking different angles of it at it. And why Supergirl? I don't know. Very curious why he wants to throw in a Supergirl movie. And the fact that Supergirl gets a movie instead of Wonder Woman, I mean, look, we're not seeing a Green Lantern movie here. We're not seeing a Flash movie here. We're not seeing an Aquaman movie here. We're not seeing a Wonder Woman movie here. All movies that the previous regime tried to do and I guess failed at, or just didn't succeed as much as they wanted to. Maybe James Gunn wants a really fresh restart, and he figures I can't not have a Batman movie and I can't not have a Superman movie. I think that's the thinking there. So he's going with Supergirl here. We'll see. The next film I am actually way more excited about, and that is Swamp Thing. And I alluded to it before. James Gunn is calling this a horror film. It will investigate the dark origins of Swamp Thing. Now, let me tell you why I'm excited about this. One, Swamp Thing is a really cool character that's really out there, very different from the rest of the DC universe. He's super powerful, and I don't know if a lot of the everyday fan knows about it. So I'd love to finally really explore that in the mainstream. But the other reason why I'm super excited about this is a little, well, maybe not little, but a director by the name of Guillermo del Toro. Now, no, he has not been announced as a director to this film, but Guillermo del Toro has expressed for years interest in making a Justice League Dark film. In fact, it was rumored to be in the works for a couple of years. I believe around the time of like 2015 to 2017, it would look like it was gonna be a thing. It was gonna involve Constantine, Swamp Thing, Zatanna, Deadman, and Madame Xanadu. It never took place though. It kind of deteriorated there. Now here's why I'm getting excited again. On January 19th, I believe he's a comic book artist by the name of Christian Ward tweets, and I quote, "A little birdie told me a cool thing just now. Apparently, the amazing Guillermo del Toro picked up my Swamp Thing variant today at Earth to Comics. So cool." Then, on January 30th, Guillermo del Toro replies, "I did." So Guillermo del Toro admits to buying a Swamp Thing comic book on January 30th. And then 2 days later, a Swamp Thing movie is announced by James Gunn. Coincidence? The fan in me, the fan of me of Guillermo del Toro, the fan of me of Swamp Thing, and the fan in me of the possibilities that could be if these two entities came together, is thinking this is not a coincidence. I'm hoping they're in talks, baby, and I'm hoping that they're very close to making a deal here. Not only do I hope that Guillermo del Toro will be tied or will be at the helm of the Swamp Thing movie, I hope it is this universe's intro to the Justice League Dark. I want Constantine. I want Zatanna. I want Deadman. I love Detective Chimp from the newer versions, I guess. And I don't know if he's technically a part of Justice League Dark, but he's kind of associated with Constantine. I love Etrigan, the demon. Let's get him in there too. Let's throw him all in there. Now remember, it wasn't that long ago, just a month or two ago, that news broke that Warner Brothers is down to make Constantine 2, starring Keanu Reeves, because apparently Keanu Reeves has pitched that sequel to Warner Brothers on a yearly basis and gotten turned down on a yearly basis. Who says no to Keanu Reeves, first of all? No wonder DC's lost. No wonder it's been lost for so long. You say no to Keanu Reeves year after year? Really? And who, pray tell, are you to say no to Keanu Reeves? The audacity. Anyway, Keanu Reeves have been wanting to make a Constantine too. Now, I have no idea if Keanu Reeves plays a part in the James Gunn vision. You know, Keanu Reeves, if you know the Constantine character, Constantine's this bald, kind of womanizing British guy. I call him bald. No, blonde. Blonde, womanizing British guy. And, Keanu Reeves is neither blonde nor British. There wasn't much womanizing, I guess, going on. He's not really that womanizing. He's just not, he doesn't care about much besides himself. And, whether Keanu portrayed that version of Constantine very well, I don't know about. But I love Keanu, and I love Constantine, so I'm fine. I wonder if James Gunn wants to keep Keanu in that role. And if so, would we see Keanu? Imagine seeing Keanu Reeves make an appearance in a Guillermo del Toro directed Swamp Thing film. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? It's a pretty cool thing about. It's a pretty cool thing about. Now, even if it's not played by Keanu Reeves, I'm hoping that the Swamp Thing movie means where all systems go for Justice League Dark. Justice League Dark, if you don't realize, is a Justice League kind of version of heroes that use more, I guess, magic and spells and mystical ways to to be powerful as opposed to just being full-blown superheroes. That's why you have the Constantine, who uses his magic and spells, and Zatanna, who's the epitome of magic. Swamp Thing, you know, is, I don't know, he's not really magic, but you know what I mean. That was that basically was the extent of James Gunn's announcement. So to recap, there's a bunch of movies he announced, films he announced, same thing. Films, television shows, both live action and animated. They didn't announce any video games, but did allude to or mention that he wants to keep them connected. And I mean, what do we have? So we've kind of got we've got like the seeds there for a Justice League. You've got the Superman film. You got the Batman film. One could guess that you have Wonder Woman in that Paradise Lost TV show, and you've got 2 Green Lanterns in the Lanterns television show. You might have the Suicide Squad coming together in Creature Commando and Waller. You might have the Justice League Dark in that Swamp Thing film. And he's already building on, you know, more secondary characters like Supergirl, Booster Gold, perhaps the Grifter, Swamp Thing. He's planting the seeds for what seems to be a pretty interesting chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. God, I hope so, man. I hope so. I hope we look back at this day and this announcement that was made and just think to ourselves like, man, remember when it was just all an idea on an Instagram post and 10 years later it became this? I hope, man. I hope. James Gunn, please. If there's anybody that could take us there, it's got to be you, right? It's got to be you. I don't know, man. I don't know if James Gunn can take us the distance. I hope. Talk about going the distance. Look at this segue right here. This is why I'm a pro. Talk about going the distance. The Royal Rumble was this past weekend. I'm not a pro, actually. I don't get paid for this at all, so I'm almost the definition of an amateur. Anyways, Royal Rumble this past weekend. I'm a huge wrestling fan. Like I've mentioned, I think like 3 times already on this show. This is the first Royal Rumble with Triple H in charge of creative, at least, because Vince McMahon has strong-armed his way back into things. He is on the board again. I'm not going to talk about that. Not right now. I want to talk about the Royal Rumble. This is the first time I remember, ever, that the first match of the night was the actual Royal Rumble match. The men's Royal Rumble started off the show. And my boy came through. I mean, even though he came in at number 30, still, he came through with the victory. To quote Johnny Drama there. Man, I am such a Cody Rhodes mark. Me and my boy Keith, love you, Keith, are huge Cody Rhodes fans because one day we met the guy. It was a meet and greet at a cigar bar in Soho, the Soho Cigar Bar. It was a meet and greet with Cody and also Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky. But Cody Rhodes was awesome. He took his time to talk. I literally smoked a cigar with Cody Rhodes and talked to him about just, wrestling in life. He's so dope. And I was already kind of a fan. Now I'm in love with the guy. My girlfriend hates hearing about Cody Rhodes because I never stop talking about him. He comes in at number 30. Man, and hearing his music, you know what? Just that fucking, that song makes me so hype. Can I even find it? I don't know. There we go, I think. The anticipation. This is just like Cody Rhodes entering. Actually, maybe I can't play. I don't know why it's not playing. Oh well. This is live TV, guys. No? Oh well. It won't play. It's YouTube too. I don't know why YouTube is acting all weird on me. But YouTube will not play the Cody Rhodes song. Alright, dude. I almost wanted to sing it too. You know, and it goes like wrestling has more than one royal family. Ding, 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 ding. Adrenaline in my soul. Every thought out of control. Do it all again, I'm on my feet. Crowd is here, about to blow. Wait for me to start the show. After the lights go up, I'm home. Whoa. My father said, when I was younger, hard times need better man. You took it all away, you give it all away. Can't take my freedom. Here to change the game, about a made of pain. I built my kingdom. Now you bow to me. You took my dreams, but not my name. You followed me to the end. I am my kingdom. I love Cody Rhodes. Take that, YouTube. You don't want to play the song for me? I'll sing it. Cody Rhodes comes in at number 30. And it's down to him and Gunther, who came in at number 1. Gunther breaks the record for a normal Royal Rumble. I say normal because there was that greatest Royal Rumble ever with 40 people, I believe, or 50 people. I forgot. No, it was 50 in Saudi Arabia, right? They did a 40-man Royal Rumble once and never again. And then they did a 51, I think, in Saudi Arabia. But the normal one, Gunther takes the record, comes in at 1, lasts till the very end with Cody, and eliminated by the American Nightmare himself. However, I will say, the impulsive one himself, Logan Paul, stole that match, though. I don't mean he won it. He stole, he had the moment of the match. Him and Ricochet springboarding from opposite sides of the ring to freaking clothesline each other and drop down in the center of that ring. Jaw dropped, bro. My jaw dropped. What a moment. For someone that never watched Logan Paul on YouTube, never gave a damn about him, only heard about him when he did stupid things in Japan, I really, and honestly, it took a lot for me to come to this line of thinking because of that stupid crap that he pulled back then. But I am a Logan Paul fan. Just am, dude. And there's something about, you know what's funny? I'm also a Bad Bunny fan in music. Like, I love Bad Bunny. But you know what made me become a fan of his? It's not song after hit after hit after hit. It wasn't. I was late to the game on Bad Bunny. You know what made me a Bad Bunny fan? When he came to the WWE, when he wrestled at WrestleMania, and he showed to the fans that he cared. He showed to the fans that he took this seriously. He wasn't just some celebrity using WWE to promote something. In fact, he wasn't promoting anything. He was just a huge fan, loved the business, loved the wrestlers, and showed it. He put time in. He dedicated himself to training, and it showed when it came time for the match at WrestleMania. And Logan Paul's doing the same thing. He's not lying. He doesn't put on this act that he knows everything about wrestling. In fact, he's very open with the fact that he's new to this world. I listened to his podcast this past week with Cody Rhodes. I've never listened to it before, but Cody was on it, so I had to listen. And he's open about how, almost little he knows. But you can tell, dude, He's putting the time into this. He's training his ass off. That dude is athletic. That dude has a natural charisma. He has a natural aptitude for professional wrestling, dude. I think he might have accidentally found something that he might have been made for. Now, he's immensely talented at other things. He's just a go-getter. So he's, made for a lot of shit. He's selling the hell out of his new energy drink, Prime, which is now the official drink for the UFC. That's huge. Gatorade tweeted something at Prime, like negative or whatever. Like, dude, you're getting the attention of Gatorade? That's huge. Logan Paul's taking this seriously, man, and I want to see him do something at WrestleMania. I really do. I'm all in on Logan Paul, dude. Something I'm not all in on, Mountain Dew Pitch Black. Why they had to have a gimmick in a match involving Bray Wyatt and LA Knight, I don't know. Essentially, a Pitch Black match isn't a match that takes place in the Pitch Black at all. No, it should have been called a Black Light match. Because it's a match that takes place under black lights. So you get pretty neon shit everywhere. Bray Wyatt had a face paint on that only activated in black light. And then there was, someone went through a table and for some reason there was neon green styrofoam in the table that exploded. Cool. Then the match ends with Bray Wyatt hitting the Sister Abigail. And then we have the saddest spot of the night. We have LA Knight laying on somewhere in the arena, and out comes Uncle Howdy to drop an elbow from about 15 feet high, and he completely misses the elbow. So bad that LA Knight has to roll towards him and falls into the hole that Uncle Howdy created. Someone tweeted that Uncle Howdy was closer to hitting Los Angeles than LA Knight. Yeah, not much to say there. Similarly, not much to say about the Bianca Belair versus Alexa Bliss match. Bianca is still champion. Kind of curious where she goes on from here. Reason being, Rhea Ripley wins the Royal Rumble by eliminating Liv Morgan. Rhea Ripley enters at number 1, Liv Morgan at number 2. And Rhea Ripley eliminates Liv Morgan last to win the match. Huge outing for Liv Morgan as well. Great job by her. And Cody has, well, let's get to who the Royal Rumble winners have challenged after we address the main event. Roman Reigns defeats Kevin Owens in a result that we kind of all saw coming, but kudos to Kevin Owens for just doing his job and doing it right as a supporting character in the storyline. Because the real event of this match and of this event, of the entire pay-per-view, or whatever they're calling it, was the aftermath, and that is Sami Zayn finally turning on Roman Reigns. And then the ensuing beatdown that the Bloodline gives Sami after Sami Zayn hits Roman Reigns in the back with a chair instead of Kevin Owens, who he was told to hit by the tribal chief himself. Sami Zayn hits Roman Reigns instead in a callback to the Shield breakup when Seth Rollins did the same exact thing. In fact, Roman Reigns had this face as he laid on the ground. Instead of this pained look, instead of this heartbroken look, he had this look that in my opinion read, "You've gotta be kidding me. Again? This is happening again?" And Jey Uso looks incensed that Sami Zayn did this. Not because he's mad at him for turning his back on Roman, but he's mad of the chaos that he just caused. He knows what this is going to do, and Jey just didn't want it. And Jimmy, bang, comes in with a super kick, lays him out, and Jimmy and Solo Sikoa just take out Sami. Roman recovers and joins in, and Jey Uso refuses to be a part of the beatdown and walks out. I don't remember the last time the WWE had storytelling on this level, man. I really don't. I don't. See, like, I was invested in the Daniel Bryan storyline when he was going, was making his run to the championship. But you got to remember, most of that was done as a reaction to the creative plans blowing up in their face. That was not the plan going into that WrestleMania. You got to remember that. So that's them making the best out of a bad situation. Out of a, CM Punk left. They had Batista win the Royal Rumble. That wasn't their plan. Daniel Bryan winning everything at WrestleMania 30, but it ended that way, and it was great. So it's hard for me to call that great storytelling when it was a reaction to bad storytelling. This is great storytelling. It's a long-term story that's taken its time to come to a conclusion, and we're invested. And, sometimes I hear the notion that if you see it coming, is it then truly good storytelling? And to that I say, of course. Of course. I mean, there's an entire genre of an ending to a story or film that has its own name, and it's called the twist ending. M. Night Shyamalan kind of made it famous in The Sixth Sense, and then tried to continue making it famous, or even more famous in future movies. Never quite succeeded as well as he did in The Sixth Sense, but still. There is an ending called a twist ending, where it's a ending purposely constructed outside of what a viewer may think is normal or should happen for the purpose of confusing or throwing you off or surprising you. Not every ending, in fact, most of the time, endings in Hollywood or in cinema or in popular culture are not twist endings. How many people were surprised that Thanos died at the end of Endgame? Were you shocked? I doubt it. I doubt that surprised you. It doesn't need to surprise you for it to be good. In fact, oftentimes, something happening that you expected is the entertaining thing, is the right path. It's not about where you get in the story, it's how you get there. It's the execution of it. How was that story told? Yeah, Thanos died, but everything that led up to that was absolutely incredible. The way that it took them so many movies to get to that point. The stories they were telling, the way they were intertwining with each other. Yeah, we knew Thanos was going to die. He has to die. You think Thanos is going to live? That was Infinity War, sure, but I mean, we knew that there was more coming. The Avengers had to defeat Thanos. That's the right story to tell. So knowing where we're going doesn't ruin the journey. In fact, it is the journey that matters. And I'm not trying to be, use this as a metaphor for life where people say, hey, it's the journey that really matters. I'm talking about freaking comic book movies and wrestling right now. The journey matters. We know that Sammy was either going to turn or be turned on. But how did it happen? How did you do it? How did you execute it? And it was done beautifully. It's done beautifully, man. Now, coming out of the Royal Rumble, Cody has already challenged Roman Reigns, or chosen Roman Reigns as the man he wants to challenge at WrestleMania, or at least he's saying that that's the title he wants. And Rhea Ripley has challenged Charlotte, and not Bianca Belair, for her title. Let's talk about the Rhea Charlotte thing real quick. I'm surprised because I thought that the match to make was Bianca versus Charlotte at WrestleMania. Now, I know they're both champions right now. It was their decision to put the title on Charlotte and have her beat Ronda Rousey. Why she came in and beat Ronda Rousey in a day, I'm not sure. That was their decision. And now you have Charlotte and Bianca as champions on two separate brands. Bianca defeated Sasha Banks at WrestleMania 2 years ago. Last year, she defeated Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. Last summer, she defeated Bayley at SummerSlam. There's one woman in the original 4 horsewomen left. There's one woman that left of those women, that 4 women that revolutionized women's wrestling forever. And that's Charlotte. The story was there for Bianca to take out Sasha, Becky, Bayley, and Charlotte in her within her first 3 WrestleManias and solidify herself as the next thing. And instead, they're giving Charlotte to Rhea, which is weird because I think we've already had Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley at a WrestleMania already, haven't we? And now, what is Bianca left to do? I honestly thought it was going to be Bianca versus Charlotte, and thank you, Charlotte, but you're putting over Bianca that night. Now it's Charlotte versus Rhea. I don't know, does Bianca now get a returning Ronda Rousey? Because it looks like they're going with Becky Lynch versus Bayley, which I'm cool with. Is it Ronda Rousey coming back to face Bianca at WrestleMania? I guess, that could be cool if Ronda wasn't so cringy at times. I wanted Bianca and Charlotte. I thought that would be 2 athletic phenoms right there. But, not happening. We'll see. We'll see what happens. With Cody, and you've got to imagine Cody and Roman's going to happen at WrestleMania. Is Roman facing Sami Zayn then at Elimination Chamber, which takes place in Sami's hometown of Montreal, if I'm not mistaken? That could be a moment right there. I don't know what the plan is right now for Sami at WrestleMania. Is it Sami and KO versus the Usos? I would have said yes to that before the Royal Rumble. But Jay walked out on the Bloodline and then tweeted, or not, he put on Instagram a picture of like him looking just disappointed, of him walking out on the Bloodline, and said like, I'm out, with a blood emoji. He said, I'm out. Sami and Jey Uso versus Solo Sikoa and Jimmy. What if it's Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso at WrestleMania? And then what do you do with Sami and Kevin? Could it be Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania for some reason instead of Cody Rhodes? And then you have Jay versus Jimmy. And then maybe, I don't know, Kevin Owens versus Solo Sikoa. I don't know. I'm very curious. A little confused, but very curious as to how they go from here and how they go into WrestleMania. So we'll start to get some answers soon. But like I said before, the fact that this is Triple H in charge and not Vince McMahon, a little bit more excited than I would normally be for WrestleMania around this time of the year. So let's go. Let's get it. Let's do it. Let's do it. That brings me to like just one last thing that I wanted to talk about. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Because it is a movie that has come out technically like 4 months ago. You see this right here for you guys watching? This sweater right here, I'm not wearing it by accident. And these guys aren't right next to me by accident either. See, I've got my Black Panther hoodie and my Black Panther and Namor action figures with me for this first episode. If you're wondering where I got this hoodie, Gap Kids, baby. Gap Kids. I am the embodiment of a big kid. I'm wearing children's clothing. I'm not ashamed of the fact that I fit into a children's extra large. This might be a kid's double XL. Shoot, I ain't no shame in this game, baby. That means that this sweater was cheaper than what you adult-sized people wear. And you know what? Go in the men's section of Gap and look for this hoodie. You know what? Ain't gonna find it. Not there, buddy. You know where you are gonna find it? Take a stroll over to the kids section of the Gap and then bang, Black Panther hoodie. I got it on sale too, $30. Where are you gonna find yourself a beautiful Black Panther hoodie like this? Huh? For $30. Where? You tell me. It was so cheap, I bought another one. It was red with a Spider-Man logo on it. So I have a Black Panther and a Spider-Man hoodie. Both kids. Not mad I fit into kids sizes. Get at me. And I have more kids' clothing too. Saving money that way, baby. And you know what? I used to be a big boy. Okay? I used to be a big guy. If you see pictures of me back in the day, it looks like a me that ate myself. It looks like I ate myself and then he stuck inside me. If you want to know what I look like back in the day, if you've ever seen Friends and seen flashback episodes where Monica has to wear a fat suit to portray herself, that's me. I lost some weight since I was that big kid, you know. You try being a heavy child named William while the movie Free Willy is out. You try that. Do you know what it is to be called a husky child? To have to wear husky? The hell is husky? Just give me the next size up, you husky. Do you know what it is to be called a heavy child and then have a movie about a whale named the same thing as you suddenly be the most popular thing in America? To all the heavy people, to all the overweight people, to all the big healthy guys out there that are named William, Willard, Wilson, I reach out to you. And I hope you reach back. My pain is your pain. Your pain is my pain. We share this pain. For every overweight Willy that was ever called Free Willy, I feel your pain, man. I feel it. You're not alone. And you know what bothered me the most? I liked that movie. It was a good movie. They even made a second one. Michael Jackson even contributed to the soundtrack. Have you seen my childhood? It's all about it. Now I know Michael Jackson singing a song called Childhood. It's just a little too close to home for some people out there. I get it. But at the time, he was the man. Talk about big kid. Michael Jackson is the biggest kid of all. Neverland. Anyways, Free Willy for a fat kid named Will? Son of a bitch. Why am I even going on this rant? Why am I even going on about this? It's because now I'm not whale sized anymore. And now that I'm a little bit more petite, I kind of like wearing clothing that, shows that I no longer swim in oceans. So I like wearing size small sometimes, And sometimes the small is still really big. Sorry that not everyone's 6'2". I'm sorry that not everyone is 215 pounds of muscle. Some of us have the build of a Kardashian or something. Maybe not in the ass, but I'm kind of petite up here. Not that big. So sometimes I gotta take a walk over to the kids extra large section if I want to get that right fit going, If I want to show to the world that I'm not this Free Willy anymore. I am Will Bryant. Not a Will. So I'm not sorry that I fit into a kid's extra large to show off my kid-like physique and save $20 on hoodies. Not sorry. Now that I went on that big kid rant. I'll get back to why I'm even talking about my kid's Gap sweater. It's because it's a Black Panther sweater. And I wore it today in honor of Black Panther being released on Disney Plus February 1st for the world to see. I did not catch it in theaters. I wanted to, but life got in the way. And I was like, you know what? I'll catch it at home. I love watching movies at home. I have a nice little setup, and that's what I did. I watched it last night. And I kicked off this show by saying that I've got I'm lucky that so many little things lined up in the current events of kid culture that it gave me things to talk about. I talked about the DC Chapter 1 announcement by James Gunn. I talked about the Royal Rumble a little bit. And you know what? Last night, I felt like a big kid again watching Black Panther Wakanda Forever. First and foremost, rest in peace to the man himself, to Chadwick Boseman. Obviously, the film was a great homage to the man. It was. And I loved it, man. I'm not gonna get into a huge scene by scene breakdown about the movie here. No, I just want to talk about how I felt about the movie leaving. I was gonna say leaving the theater. Well, but walking away from my my living room, I guess. I thought that the movie did justice to a lot of people. So not just to Chadwick Boseman. I thought it did justice to the Shuri character. I thought that Angela Bassett absolutely destroyed it as T'Challa's mother, as let me get the character's name right, that she really did a great job as Ramonda, the queen of Wakanda, now that T'Challa has in the movie. Listen, spoilers coming, okay? The movie came out 4 months ago and is now out on Disney Plus. If you haven't seen it, go watch it on Disney Plus, out right now, and just end the podcast here. If you haven't seen it, or excuse me, if you have seen it, or if you don't care, stay tuned. Angela Bassett as Ramonda absolutely killed it. She received an Emmy nomination. An Academy Award nomination. Emmys for television. She has received an Academy Award, an Oscar nomination for her portrayal as Ramonda and in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. There's a scene where she's kind of on her throne, surrounded by the council, where she's yelling at Okoye, who is played by the same actress that played, or actor that played Michonne. Denai Gurira. She played Michonne in The Walking Dead. Very, even a bigger role here as Okoye in Wakanda Forever. She's being yelled at by Ramonda for essentially losing Sherry to Namor's people. And at that moment, I was like, this is why you got nominated. This scene right here, where she talks about how much she's lost in losing her husband and her son, and now the idea of losing her daughter. Really powerful performance by Angela Bassett here. I think that Angela Bassett may be the first person ever nominated for an Academy Award in acting from the MCU universe, from the world of the MCU. I know that there are plenty of Marvel movies that have received nominations, and perhaps even won, for accomplishments in CGI or in special effects, perhaps even in costumes and in makeup. But I don't think that there has ever been an actor that has been nominated for a role. And Angela Bassett has done it in Wakanda Forever. I do think that Black Panther was nominated as an entire film. I do think that. Especially now that they doubled the nominees from 5 to 10, gave chances to like movies, a lot more movies to be nominated. I think Black Panther was nominated as a whole, but act like a specific actor, a specific person in a role. I don't think anyone else has been nominated. So kudos to Angela Bassett for getting it done, and well deserved, because I loved her in this film. Somebody else I loved in this film, excuse me if I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but Tenoch Huerta Mejia, also known as Namor or Kukulkan. I thought his portrayal of Namor was awesome. And I don't mean just his portrayal, the portrayal of the character in general was handled really well. If I'm not mistaken, Namor or the Submariner, whatever you call it, he's not just a 100% total villain in the comics. Like, he has a good side to him, right? Doesn't he work with the Avengers at some point? They really showed, what they really did a good job of in this movie was portraying the Namor character, or Namor, as a logical person. He's not doing villainous things for the sake of being a villain. No, he's the entire reason that his people live in the water is because they had to escape, essentially, the colonization from Europe, from the Spanish Europeans. They like found refuge in the water, and they explain it by Marvel means, but it happens. And the reason that he even approaches Wakanda in the first place is because Wakanda exposed the existence of vibranium to the world, and the world started building these contraptions to find vibranium, and lo and behold, Wakanda is not the sole source of vibranium. It also exists in the underwater world that Namor reigns over, the world of Talocan. It used to be Atlantis, but I heard Marvel wanted to distance itself from Aquaman in that sense, so it's Talocan now. Namor comes up to to Ramonda and to Shuri and says, hey, everything was fine. And then your boy, T'Challa, announced to the world in Black Panther, the first movie, hey, we have vibranium, a ton of it. We're more advanced than the rest of the world, but we'll help you out, don't worry. And Namor is like, what did you think was going to happen? Did you think the world was just going to be like, okay, cool, get to us whenever you can? Because that's not what happened. No, the rest of the world said, you have what? We're going to find it, and we're going to get it. And that's what started happening. Someone built a machine that could detect vibranium for the first time in the history of the world, and they found it. And they didn't find it in Wakanda, they found it in Talocan. And Namor had to defend his home. And he destroyed the people that were coming after it. Turns out it was the Americans working in conjunction with someone else. And some members of the CIA had to get killed in the process, but Namor was protecting his home. And he goes up to Ramonda and Shuri and says, are we gonna work together to protect to solve the problem that your boy started? And they basically say no. Namor has to take things into his own hands. Technically, he kidnaps Shuri. Shuri has to find the scientist that created this thing that could detect vibranium. Turns out it's not a scientist. It's Riri. What's her name? Riri Williams? Yeah, Riri Williams, who ends up becoming Ironheart. And Shuri doesn't want to let the Namor basically murder Riri. Namor kidnaps both of them, takes them to their land, to Talocan. But here's the thing, Namor treats them well, feeds them, gives Shuri a suit that I think he stole from the CIA during the attack, that she could wear to protect her as he gives her a tour of Talocan. The people there are nice and peaceful. They smile at her and say hi. It's not until Nakia, played by Lupita Nyong'o, comes in and kills some of these people in the process of saving both Riri and Shuri from captivity. That Namor decides, all right, that's it. Shit is that. It's on. Namor did want Shuri to join him in attack on the rest of the world. That's where he started getting a little weird. But up until that point, everything he said was logical. And let me tell you, dude, I love that. I love that Namor was not just an angry, crazy villain. They did justice by him. And honestly, as someone with a Hispanic background, I'm Colombian and Puerto Rican, born and raised in Queens, New York. But my mother's from Colombia and my dad's Puerto Rican. I remember growing up, and when I would daydream about being a superhero, I daydreamt about being a superhero that didn't exist. I made up a hero in my head with brand new powers and a brand new origin story and abilities. And the reason I did that was because I couldn't imagine myself as a Spider-Man, as a Wolverine. I couldn't imagine myself as a hero because none of them had my color skin. None of their hair looked like mine. I remember telling myself I'll never play. This is back when I had dreams of being a movie star or something, right? I can never play one of these characters because none of them, I don't look like any of them. Instead, I thought I would have to like create my own character and make my own movie if I ever wanted to be in a movie as a hero or even a villain. So I get it. I get this whole representation matters thing. Listen, I'm sure that there's a lot of white people out there that think representation is overblown. And that's because you could have probably imagined yourself playing every single member of the Avengers or the Justice League if you wanted to. But for someone like me, I didn't have that. So I get why Black Panther was such a big deal to a community of Black children out there. And I kind of feel that way about Namor a little bit. I love, as a person of Hispanic descent, I may not be Mexican, but I love that the Mexican background of Namor and his people was treated with respect. I love that all he really wanted to do was protect his people and that he was going about logical ways of doing it. And I really dug even his name, the way that they described his name. Typically, I read that Namor got his name from the creator literally spelling Roman backwards for some reason. I'm not sure why. And another explanation for Namor was that in Atlantean, it meant, I forgot what it meant. Like it meant something. It meant like fallen sun or something like that, or rebel. I forgot exactly what it meant in Atlantean. I had it the other day and I lost it. Sorry, guys. But in this version, when Namor comes back to bury his mother, by the way, he sees that it's been colonized by the Europeans who open fire on him, a child. And he and his people waste everybody. And there's this one person that's like that's dying, taking his last breath, and he calls him something like the demon without love or something. And it translated to that is what it is. It was the boy without love, el niño sin amor. Sin amor, namor. That's what he introduces himself as to Ramonda and Shuri. He says, "My people call me Kukulkan, but my enemies call me Namor." And I thought, wow. Yes! Hell yeah! Woo! I loved it. Namor. I loved it, dude. I didn't think that I was going to give that much of a damn about representation. I didn't think that seeing a Hispanic character in the MCU like that was really going to hit with me as much as it did. But once the promo started coming out and I saw the beautiful headgear that Namor had, the amazing just visuals of the Talocan people using like whales, yeah, there we go, whales, using their little free willies as like ways to travel and attack. It was just so visually stunning. Like I just loved. I felt freaking proud, dude. I really did. I know I'm not Mexican, but I am Latino, man. And I felt proud, dude. I did not see that coming. I didn't. I'm sorry. I'm surprised, dude. I'm not even like the most flag waving Hispanic out there. I love Colombia, I love Puerto Rico, but like if you didn't know me, you could. I've been mistaken as Middle Eastern, as Indian, as I've been people. It's not like I go around just bleeding Colombian and Puerto Rican colors out here. Sometimes people are surprised that I know Spanish. They're like, oh, I thought you were going to speak Hindi. Like, sometimes I hate breaking when I go into a deli and like the guy just starts being really nice to me, gives me like a free lighter, and suddenly starts speaking to me in like Hindi. I feel so bad, dude. Like I already have the free lighter in my hand. I don't want to give it back when I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying, dude. I'm sorry. I know I look like I'm like we're the same race. I just always look back and I'm like, yeah, thank you, goodbye. Yeah. I get out of there before they realize I'm just this Puerto Rican guy. I don't want to break their heart. But yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know that the Namor character was gonna hit me like that. And I'm glad that the character was treated with respect. I didn't even know. I wanted the character to be treated like with respect. And I'm glad that they left it in a way where like he's not dead. And if anything, he's an ally now with Wakanda. Which means I'm expecting Namor to come back and fight side by side in that next Avengers team. Like I want him to be one of the Avengers now, dude. And hopefully it can happen. Hopefully it can happen. Shuri as the new Black Panther, I thought was awesome. I thought her journey to get there made the payoff even better. And man, wasn't it cool when she got to the ancestral plane and she saw Michael B. Jordan, Killmonger there, and not her mother and not her brother. It really messed with her mind. I thought that was a great way to get the character to realize that she can't live through vengeance. And she finally did realize that at the end. And I was excited for Ironheart. I didn't give a damn about Ironheart up until like a year ago. And then when I started seeing the promos, I was like, all right. Still wasn't that excited. Then the movie started. And the way that they explained the Riri Williams character and her connection to everything, I suddenly got excited. I was into it, man. I was watching it with my girlfriend. She had no idea who Ironheart was or what was happening, but she saw my excitement and she started realizing like, okay, I think they're introducing a character here. I think this matters, and when she like chiseled out that Iron Heart, I was in, especially because I really liked the way the suit looked in that final battle. So yeah, man, Wakanda Forever out now on Disney Plus. If you haven't watched it, I absolutely recommend it. What a great I love you to Chadwick as well, man. Chadwick Boseman is one of those guys where like the more I think about him, the more I just get like upset at life not being fair, and I kind of have to stop thinking about him and think more about what he did in the short amount of time. For the art of film and for people, for his people, for the Black community, what he did, I thought I understood how important he was, how important Black Panther was. I thought I understood. And then I saw this film last night, and I felt emotions I hadn't felt ever watching a Marvel movie. I don't know if I felt these emotions ever watching any movie, if I'm being honest. Tenoch Huerta Mejia as Namor really, really struck a chord with me, and I think now maybe I understand, maybe not fully, but definitely better than I ever have before, what Black Panther and Chadwick Boseman meant to an entire community of people. I will always love Chadwick for his portrayal of the Black Panther. I look forward to seeing Letitia Wright do what she can do as Shuri and her version of the Black Panther, and I really hope to see more of Tenoch Huerta Mejia as Namor. I loved it. I loved the film, man. Loved it. And I couldn't think of a better way to end my first episode ever than to use that final moment to discuss Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and what it meant for me in terms of representation. I think it was a great thing to talk about in the first episode, man. We had a lot. We talked about a lot. I wasn't sure how long I was going to make these. I was hoping for maybe an hour and a half. But, that's the cool thing, is that it doesn't matter, and I could kind of just go as long as I want. Hopefully, you guys found it interesting. Like I said, we had a lot to talk about. The world gave me a lot of material. James Gunn, DC Chapter 1, Cody Rhodes in the Royal Rumble, and Disney Plus putting out Wakanda Forever for the world to see. Big week for a big kid like me. And hopefully you guys got some entertainment out of the things that made me feel like a big kid again. Hopefully these things brought a little bit of joy or excitement to you this week. Next up, later this week, will come the very first episode of my animated breakdowns. Who knows, maybe I'll drop it on a Saturday morning, just the way that our Saturday morning cartoons would drop every week for us. We'll see. This is still my first week doing this new podcast, so I have nothing really set in stone in terms of a schedule. Bear with me. I will probably soon. But yeah, more things are coming. That episode's coming up in about a day or two. And like I said before, I'm dropping I'm going to be talking about the first season of X-Men, the animated series. I already watched it. I already got my notes ready for that. And I'm excited. Other than that, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for sticking around. This was Big Kid with Will Bryant, the show that tries to make you feel like a kid again. I'm your host. I'm Will Bryant. Peace.